Hello, hello, welcome. I am so excited. I'm going to introduce our guest tonight, but first I want to introduce this show that I am producing called Be Well Live. And the inspiration of this show is really that I was looking back over my healing journey, and it was a long one, and some of you know that very intimately. I've been sharing about it a lot. But I noticed that there wasn't just one person that guided me on this journey, and there wasn't just one person that helped me learn about health and wellness and emotional intelligence and all of the wonderful things that have helped me grow as a person. And in thinking about that, I was thinking about all of the amazing practitioners and healers that I have the opportunity to spend time with and to learn from, and to have them share their gifts. And so I created this show to basically pay it forward and pass along these amazing individuals who are, working tirelessly to help people heal and to help people get well and to help people really live their best life, their most empowered lives. And so with no further ado, I want to introduce our first guest, and it is truly an honor to have her be our first guest and to have her here tonight. I am very, very fond of the work she does, and I can't wait for her to share this with you. So please welcome Debora Wayne. Welcome, Debora.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really touched.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. And so Debora does a healing modality called Biofield Healing technique, and we're going to jump into that a little bit further. She has an incredible book, which I have read, which I will be sharing excerpts from that book and having her speak on that as well. But before we dive into that, everybody that I know that is in the healing industry or or doctors or nurses, so many of them have their own stories of the reasons why they do the work that they do. And Debora's is absolutely incredible. And again, you can read it in detail in her book. But I just want to start off by you sharing, Debora, a little bit about what got you to where you are today. I know you talk about a lot of different turning points in your life within your book. And so if you can just take us back 30 or so years and tell us where you were and how you got here.
Yeah, it was quite a journey. 30 plus years ago, I literally found myself one morning curled up in a ball at the bottom of my closet. And I couldn't get dressed, and I couldn't stop crying, and I couldn't go to work. And I had this picture perfect life. Like, if you had seen me from the outside looking in, you would have thought, wow, she's really got her you-know-what together. And I want what she's got. I have this beautiful house and a husband and a BMW in the garage and a great career. And I was dying on the inside, dying. And nobody knew, and I was very isolated, kept it to myself. I had a lot of physical problems, everything from hypothyroid, hypoglycemia, my hair was falling out, I had PMS, I had ovarian cysts, I had exhaustion, I had just like so many things. I was flip-flopped from depression and anxiety. I was a compulsive overeater. I looked for, comfort in food, in drugs, and in alcohol. I drank myself every single night until I passed out because I couldn't sleep. And I mean, my life was really a mess, but I didn't tell anyone, and I kept pretending it was fine. Everything's fine. And, it was killing me. And I finally got to this place one morning, a regular Monday morning, but I couldn't do it anymore. And I finally reached out for help. And that was my crossroads. And my life from that day forward has really been a remarkable journey. I really thought it was over. And instead it just began. And everything changed, like everything. And it's been very exciting. I never dreamed I'd be here doing the work that I do and having all that's happened happen. I would never have even known to ask for it. It's just been greater than I could have ever planned. So.
And you bring up something that I think is so important because I know so many people, I work with so many people, and I know so many people who come to turning points in their life, and it does really feel like it's over. It feels like everything that you knew is crumbling, or a certain area of your life is crumbling, be it, career, or you've lost a loved one, or you've been through a divorce, or whatever that is. And I really share with people that if we can see it as an opportunity, those are the times that we're kind of cracked open sometimes, and we are open to learning and open to new things. And I want to speak to that really quickly because your work is incredible, and yet I know there are a lot of people that are not open to lots of different types of energy healing, or they just are not aware of energy healing techniques. And so before we really jump into this, I always tell people, remaining open is so important. It's like, we don't have to make a judgment on anything right away. We just want to take it in and let it into our heart a little bit and think about it. And so tell me, just before we get into all this exciting stuff, what do you say to people that have not been open to it or have questioned it?
I say, bravo. Like, you should question. There's a lot of crap out there that you should, there's a lot of crap out there, and I don't suggest that you just take everything blindly as truth. I am a prove it to me girl. I always have been, and I still am. I want proof. I want it to be practical, and I want it to show up in real, tangible results in my life or my health or my body or my pocketbook or my waistline or somewhere. And if it doesn't do that, it really doesn't interest me much. So I would say, first of all, I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe in anything. I'm not trying to ask you to stop believing in what you already believe to be true. I'm not taking anything away from anyone. What I am doing is expanding your options. You will always be able to go back to what you used to do or believe. You can always say no to this. I'm not taking that away from you, but I'm saying it's kind of like you go to a restaurant and there's 15 things on the menu and you might like 3 or 4, and you might want to try a new item, and maybe you'll never try it again, but you might discover that, wow, that becomes my favorite food. And so then you add it. You don't just say, oh, now that's the only choice. So this is just a new item on the menu. That's really all it is.
I love that. That's a great way to put it. And I just wanted to, some people are chiming in here, and I just want to show some of these comments. Regina's here, and she says, I totally relate to the story. So I love this because so many times when we've gone through difficult stuff in our life, we feel like we're the only ones. We feel like everybody else has got it together, right? Because a lot of people are talking about this stuff, right? They're going through things, but they're not, it's not coffee talk over the coffee pot in the morning at work. Like, hey, my life is kind of falling apart here. So I love that. And thank you for sharing that, Regina. And I just want to share one more comment. Alita says, energy healing is where it's at. I say, yay. So I want to let you guys know, for those of you that are watching live, we're going to be answering questions. Deborah's going to answer your questions. And she also has a live demo that she's going to do at the end of us talking here, which is really exciting. I've done it and it's awesome. So there's this turning point, and you started being turned on to this work. And I know it doesn't open up in a day. So I know I read a little bit that you were involved in meditation and yoga, and was all of that leading you up to what you do today?
Absolutely. That's what I really want to emphasize. It's not like energy healing is the answer to everything. It's one piece of the puzzle. When all of my programs, and whenever I work with somebody one-on-one or in groups, the whole point of it is that we have to cover several different bases. We have to go in through the doorway of the mind. We have to examine the thinking, the belief systems, and clear out what is not working properly there. We have to go in through the emotions. We have to find out, where are the emotions stuck in the body? Where do we even not know that they're there? We have suppressed them for so long, we don't even know how we feel. And we go in through the energy field. And the reason the energy field is so powerful is that it has the capacity to speed up and accelerate the awareness and the healing process faster than it would be if we just went in through the doorway of the mind and the doorway of the emotions. The energy field is what I call the 21st century tool to accelerate this process. So we don't have to spend 10 years in talk therapy. We can get this moving up and out, even the things that are in our unconscious mind that we aren't aware of, that are adding to the pain puzzle. And the energy work can help bring this up very quickly into either your conscious awareness or just move it out and get what I call the magic wand effect, where you're not even aware of it. You just literally can feel better and not understand it even with your mind.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so true. I think sometimes we hold on to pain or struggle as if it has to take a long time, as if we're not going to get relief. And we keep that as a belief system in our mind. And so even just getting our head and our mind around the fact that it can happen, I know you've had, people just really have pain go away in just a few sessions, even one session, even in a demo, right?
Absolutely. See, that's the difference, is that we're used to a linear step-by-step process. This goes outside the realm of time and space as we understand it. This is based on principles of physics. It's real science. And there's an entirely new way of experiencing healing that does not take any time whatsoever. I have had people with 30 years of chronic pain, or clinical depression, or, my clients just chronic fatigue syndrome, thyroid issues, digestion issues, constant struggles from trauma and childhood things that happened many, many years ago. And literally in a short demo or one session, they're like a new person. They are free of it. And then, it does have a cumulative effect if you're exposed to this new higher vibration, these frequencies of healing. It definitely helps you hold the new pattern on your own much easier. But people have dramatic results often in one short demo. And that's what's so exciting about it.
Yeah, it is. And there's so many things I want to touch on that you said. So the difference between linear. So a lot of what I do is not linear, and I know it's the same with you. And so people might come to see me to get off of craving sugar or something like that. And they might wonder why we're having a discussion about something that happened to them when they were 6, because I feel that this is the reason why this pattern has been created. And so it does, at first people go, why are we on 6 years old? I want to solve my sugar, thing right now. So let's talk about nonlinear, and how energy is not.
Yes. Well, here's the way it works. Around every living thing, including your body, is a field of energy and information. This is vibrational information. And it's not a thinking thing. It's a vibrational thing. And I have learned how to actually feel where there's disturbances in the biofield. And it's a right brain experience, not a left brain understanding with the thinking mind like we normally experience. So it's oftentimes a feeling, a sensation. People will see colors or shapes or images or hear sounds or have memories, like you're saying, come back from years ago that they don't even realize impacted them. Because your biofield is like a recording device that's been recording everything that happened to you since you were born, and maybe even before that. And things that you don't even realize impacted you in a negative way are lingering in your field and still affecting you today, but you may not be consciously aware of it. So I help people shift into an experience that isn't the normal everyday way we do things. And many times people will have this sensation or the memory or the feeling come up and move out, or even the thoughts may come up and move out, but it moves out. That's the difference. It's not like we stay there and analyze it or talk about it for 10 years. It moves because it's actually made of energy. These are information fields. Energy and information. That's the key to the new 21st century way of healing. Move energy.
Yeah, I feel that.
Accessing quantum information. It's a different way of thinking about information. These are particles at the quantum level that's so tiny, it's even difficult to measure with equipment. But these particles exist. They're as real as your physical body. And your body's made of this. Your whole body's made of particles of energy and information. It's like we're swimming in a sea of information that we can't see, but it's there and it's affecting us and we're affecting it and we're having an interaction all the time.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because in society, we have learned to use our brain. We've relied on our brain. We get accolades, right, for using our brain. And so sometimes I feel like people have so much energy going on up in the head. And really, I feel like the center of us is the heart. You know, it's the first thing that's formed in a fetus. It has a very large field, right? And it's that feeling. It's that feeling when you meet people, when you say, something's not right here. And so many times people outthink that. You know, they go, something's not right. Oh, but my friend Melissa likes this person, therefore it must be okay. And so to me, it's really starting to listen in, right? And like you said, raise that awareness so that you start tuning in to that feeling system that we have.
Exactly. It's, you know, we're born with what I call a GPS system. It's hardwired into our DNA. And but we live in a society that, like you said, it rewards the intellect. So the intellect has now become the override for the feeling nature. And people have gotten so detached and disconnected from their feeling nature and so distrusting of it that they don't realize that it really is the truth. And all the conditioning that occurs even before the age of 8 years old, you're pretty much conditioned to the way you're going to see, feel, and experience life by the time you're 8 years old. And it's not your choice. It has to do with the environment you're in, the people what they told you. And you take all this in like a recording device. Mm-hmm. And then 20, 30, 40, 50 years later, wonder why these patterns keep repeating, why this pain won't go away, why is my life not working? It's because it's based on this intellectual conditioning that's a disconnect from the true blueprint, which has to do with your emotional body and your true nature. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I want to read a quote from your book, your #1 best-selling book, Why Do I Hurt? Great title. It's an easy to absorb book and chock full of amazing information. I enjoyed every minute of it. But there's a quote that says, all thoughts and feelings are subtle energy, and the subtle energetic level creates the physical. Everything begins at the subtle level and becomes physical, not the other way around. And I love that because when we have physical pain, we oftentimes tend to run around trying to fix the physical pain, right? And maybe I know people that have gone to doctor after doctor after doctor and still have this pain. So talk about what makes what you do different.
Yeah, you have really honed in on the #1 reason why people don't heal. And it's because we look at the physical body as the answer. And we focus on the physical symptoms only, and we go down that rabbit hole of trying to chase the symptoms away, but it always starts at a more subtle level. So the way I work is I help people really get in touch with what's underneath the physical. Why is it showing up in the physical? Your body is an expression of your consciousness. Your body's telling the story of your life. So we go back and we look at what was going on in your life before this began, before this showed up in the physical. The subtle creates the physical. The subtle is the precursor to the physical. So we examine the beliefs, the ideas, the thinking. We look at the emotions that most of the time people don't want to feel. So they're resisting those emotions. And what you resist actually gets stuck and the energy stops flowing and you create an energy block in the physical body, which if you ignore it long enough will create some type of painful symptom. And it could be very dramatic, it could be subtle, it could be nagging, it could be moving around. You know, everyone I work with has pretty much come to me because they've tried everything and they've not gotten well. And they can't figure it out with their mind because it's not in the mind, and a part of your mind is actually keeping it in place, doesn't really want to go there because it's frightening, and a part of you thinks you're going to stay safe if we don't go too close to that, if we don't open that emotional space. See, and plus we're not trained. People aren't trained. They're not given the tools to do this on their own. And even most of the healing practitioners out there, very well-meaning, they're not trained to go that deep either. They're still looking at the physical body alone by itself as the answer. So
do you think on some level we hold on to pain because we're afraid of the emotion or the stuff that's beneath it? Do you find that people, that almost, well, let me say it this way. Have you had people that resist the healing?
People can resist the healing, yes. And it's always because of some kind of fear. And that's my job, is to help them through the fear. Because if they could fix themselves on their own, they would. But people don't know how, first of all. They don't have the tools, and it's very scary. When you open up Pandora's box, most people are afraid the feelings will last forever. And they don't really understand how to release the feelings. They just feel the feelings, and then they go, what am I supposed to do with all of this? They're just not trained how to release.
Yeah. And I love that you use the word release. I use that word too. It's not a letting go, but it's just a releasing from it. It's to me, it brings out the word freedom, right? Freedom from the things that hold us hostage in a certain way, unbeknownst to us.
Well, the other thing I should mention, it's really critical here, is that I have found in every single case that whatever pain or symptom is there is actually your friend. It's got a message in it, and it's trying to do something positive for you. It's trying to get your attention. Most people try to ignore these painful signs and symptoms, but they're the very thing you must look at. And yet, unless you have a guide to do that, it's difficult to do on your own. But once you go in and look at these, the symptoms will drop away and dissolve on their own once you find out what it's trying to do for you, what need it's trying to fulfill, and you get that need met in a healthier way. Otherwise, the symptoms get louder and louder and bigger until you have a closet crisis like I did, because I was ignoring all of the signs and symptoms in my life. I was ignoring all of them until it got louder and louder and louder until it was unbearable. And that was the turning point.
And the stakes always get higher, right? I mean, if we're supposed to hear the call, right, and we're not listening, it just gets louder. The stakes get, and so I say, in life, it's a game of trying to figure out how to catch it fast, right? and hear it so that you can do something about it before the stakes get very high.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant, actually, because unfortunately, we live in a world that waits till it's a crisis. And it doesn't have to hit crisis mode to do something about it. Real wisdom is learning from someone else's mistakes, just identifying, oh, yes, I think I'm doing that. I don't have to go that far down. You can get off that elevator at any floor. You don't have to ride it to the basement like I did.
Yeah, I say that every day in my practice. That's why I share things from my personal life to hopefully help people, take those lessons into their own heart and not have to do them themselves, right? I mean, after we've gone through anything difficult, we hope to save other people from a similar road. And what's funny with you and I, Debora, and as I read your book more, we've had a lot of the same circumstances in our life, and it almost felt like I had known you forever when we connected, because we've been through a lot of the same type of stuff in our own way, and it's just interesting, and it's also reassuring to read something like that, because again, you can locate yourself in there and say, okay, other people understand, other people have been there, and they've come out of it, right? And they've grown from it and become a better person. And I really believe that's why we're here, right? Is to grow and to learn and to raise our awareness and to help others too.
Absolutely. And I think it is important by ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
there's really so much healing that occurs when you even just find one other person that you can trust and tell your story to and share that with, and who understands you and isn't going to judge you.
Yeah. And I say all the time, I go, I think having, a coach, a healer, a confidant that you can share with throughout your entire life is beneficial, because we can't see what we can't see. Right?
Yes. That's when
we need that help, that reflection of other people.
Totally. My healing really began when I found the first person I found that I started to finally tell the truth. Yeah. And I thought it was going to kill me. I thought she was going to judge me. I thought I'd fall apart. Literally, my body would shake when I would tell the truth. But that's where the healing began.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. They say the truth will set you free. And I say that to myself sometimes, because it is true. So I want to see if we have any, should we do the demo first? Do you want to do the demo and then do questions? What do you think?
That's great. Yeah. Because people.
Let's go ahead. Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that. So everybody who's on, please stay on. And I have some questions coming up here on the feed, which Debora will be happy to answer. But I really want you guys to experience her incredible work. And so we'll just let her guide us in a short demo of what she does.
And I just want to say, only do this if you're in a safe place and you're sitting or lying down. You don't want to do this if you're driving, because most people will drop into a very deep, altered state, and you need to be really in a safe place. So with that, just get yourself as comfortable as you can and just gently close your eyes and take the deepest breath that you've taken all day so far. And just begin to notice your inner experience. Notice what you start to feel or see. Notice if you start to hear anything or sense anything going on inside you. You may notice a fragrance or a taste or sounds or images. Just notice this. If your body starts to move, let your body do whatever it wants to do. Let it be free to move in any way. Allow whatever comes up. Thoughts may come up, emotions may come up, pain may even come up. Just let this happen and observe it like you're at the movies. But you're not trying to change the movie. You're watching, you're looking, you're feeling, you're listening, but you're not trying to change the movie. You're just observing and allowing everything to be exactly the way it is. As you notice, as you feel, as you observe, as you allow your body to move, you may drop into a very, very deep, relaxed state. Just let that happen. You may even feel like you're falling asleep, and that's okay too. Just let whatever happens happen, even if you feel like nothing's happening or that you're making it up. Just notice that, without trying to change it or analyze it, without trying to label anything as good or bad, right or wrong. And I'm going to continue to work on you now, very silently, for another minute or so, just quietly, so that you can go deep inside and really relax and rest more than you have in a long, long time. And just notice what happens. Notice and observe. And you'll hear my voice in just a moment when it's time to come back. So just rest now and relax and enjoy. And very, very slowly become aware of the sound of my voice and all the sounds around you. And just very, very slowly begin to deepen your breathing, becoming more alert and more awake, more aware with every breath you take. Just very, very slowly now. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. And come all the way back now, wide awake and alert, refreshed and staying very relaxed. And slowly, gently open your eyes and allow the light to come back in. All the way back now, wide awake, fully alert, wide awake.
Wow.
What did you feel? What did you notice?
Oh, if anybody would like to share their experience too, please put that in the comment box. I'll share some of those. It's amazing how quickly like the relaxation happened. I mean, I'm sitting in a chair and ideally I would be laying on the floor because I almost felt like afraid I was going to fall out of my chair. Like it feels like I'm so relaxed,
Yes.
right? It's,
and people in an altered state so quickly, even people who've never meditated, who tell me, oh, my mind never gets quiet. And that's why I say you must be in a safe place because you saw how fast it can happen.
Yes, it happens fast. And I always feel when I did this before with you too, just the sensation of my heart, like it's like a opening feeling or expanding feeling in the center of my chest. Like I'm very aware of this center area of my heart space. Is that typical?
Yes, people do. In fact, sometimes people say to me, it feels like their solar plexus is being pried open, or their heart, their chest is literally being pried open. And sometimes it's actually painful because people have been so shut down.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that was wonderful. So let me see. I have a couple different comments here of people sharing things. So Alita, let me show your comment. She says, medicine could no longer help me. Only when I turned to energy healing did I start to have results. Yeah, so that's typical, right? You hear that a lot, Deborah.
hear that so much from most of the people I work with have really tried everything, both allopathic medicine, even natural, alternative, complementary medicine, functional medicine, naturopathic. They've tried everything and nothing's worked. And then they're sometimes very shocked at how quickly this type of a modality will work for them. And I've just come to understand some people are really ready for this. They're just totally ready. And it's often the people that are the most sensitive that feel like there's something wrong with them because they're so sensitive, but they respond very well to this.
Yeah. Probably really well, right? If you consider yourself a more sensitive person, you're going to be likely more sensitive to energy. And I work with a lot of people who are healers and people who do help other people. And what I find is that sensitivity is the gift of what makes their work so amazing. In life, they're taking on a lot of life.
Absolutely. I had a call earlier today with a client. I hear this every single day, particularly from the healers that feel that they're empathic and that they feel everything that everyone's feeling and they feel drained by people. If you feel like you pick up negativity or you feel, everybody tells you their problems, they walk away feeling great and you walk away exhausted. So it's a boundary issue. And there's definitely something, tools that I can help you with, that you help people with. It doesn't need to be this way. And it's a way that you have to learn to manage your sensitivity in order for it to be a gift and not a curse. And I used to suffer from the same thing. It's just the flip side of the coin. And we have to learn how to manage a new way of being in the world so we don't have to shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I want to open it up for some questions for Debora. So if anybody has questions, put them in here, and I will we'll get her expertise and get her answers on them. I just want to share, there's another comment from Mary who's on here. I'll show this. Yeah, she's just, I know Mary, and she's returned from a second opinion regarding her cyst on her spine. And being told to fuse a vertebrae. So she says, this is the perfect timing for me. So with something like that, is that something where your work is going to help with that?
So again, I'm not a doctor. I don't give medical advice. I don't diagnose or treat symptoms. I want to be very clear about that. And I'm not, you shouldn't use this in place of your medical advice. However, let me just say that when you do this in addition, or you may find that things change, and they can change rapidly. I've seen people, many clients with all kinds of structural spinal issues. I'll give you a couple examples. I've had people with blown discs or bulging discs who I work with, and then they go back and they become pain-free, and then they go back to the doctor to get it checked on tests, and the tests show nothing is there any longer. These are people who were scheduled for surgery because it was so bad. But they go back, and the doctor says, well, I don't know how this has happened. We can't explain this. I don't really know, because nothing's there anymore. Yeah. I've seen people who have had surgery after surgery, sometimes 6 times on the same knee or hip, and they're still in pain, and the doctors can't figure it out. And then I work with them, and they become pain-free. Yeah. And nothing's changed on the test, but they are pain-free. I've seen things like, I had one client who was 92 years old, came in I saw her in person. She came in using a walker. She had just had hip surgery and was still in a lot of pain. She grew 2 inches in one session. She had to raise the height of her walker to walk out because it didn't fit her body anymore. And I've seen this over and over again, where working with Biofield Healing will create space in the spine. And what happens is also, it's not just spine or physical. People will realign in whatever way they need to. The alignment is not just physical. It's removing disturbed patterns of information that cloud over the real you. And when that disturbed information is removed, you shift back into a state of homeostasis. The body's designed to heal itself. But if it's not in an environment where there's ease and comfort, because there's something, whether it's an old trauma, something pinching you, some kind of pressure or stress that's happening every day, if you don't remove that and there's that constant stress, it will create dis-ease. But when we remove that, you will shift and this stuff dissolves.
Yeah, I love that. So a couple more questions. Maybe you already shared this, but Regina was asking, what's your favorite success story?
Oh, I have so many. I guess my absolute favorite of all times, I worked on someone, well, there's a couple, but this one's pretty profound. This was an athletic coach, big guy, muscular, I think 6'2", 6'3", and earned his living as an athletic coach. And he went in he had to have heart bypass surgery. And he came out of the surgery paralyzed from the waist down. Now, he didn't go in with that, but he came out with that. And the doctors were baffled. They didn't know why. Nothing showed up on a test, and they didn't know what to do for him. They kept testing and testing. They showed nothing. They didn't even know what to offer him other than physical therapy. So they send him to physical therapy for 9 months. Now, this is a guy who's, very athletic, and he's a huge guy. And after 9 months of physical therapy, his lower limbs were emaciated. They were so thin that his legs looked like toothpicks. They looked like the size of my arms. He couldn't, after 9 months, he still couldn't straighten his one leg, which was able to straighten before the surgery. And I worked on him for a month, but after the second session, he's fully straightened his leg. By the way, his son had to move in and take care of him. He could no longer drive or walk without a wheelchair or a walker. After working with him twice, he was able to walk unassisted on his own, straighten his leg. His muscles came back to life within less than a month. He was swimming 3 miles a day. And within a month or two, just completely back to regaining all his physical strength and back to normal. This is the kind of thing possible. Yeah. I mean, so many stories I could tell you. One that comes to mind I forgot about with the person who just asked the question before. I had a woman who had ovarian cysts, and they wanted to do surgery, and she came in. I worked on her. And by the way, all of this works whether it's in person or at a distance. It does not have any greater or lesser effect if you're in person or at a distance. Most of my clients now, they're all over the world. I never even see them in person at all. I don't even see them on Skype or anything. I just work with them. And so anyway, this woman had very large cysts on her ovaries. And during the very first session, in fact, I only really worked on her one time, she could feel, she said she heard a loud pop inside. I didn't hear it. She heard it. And she could feel, she said it felt like a hand was inside and pulling that cyst out. She knew it was healed. She went back to the doctor, no more cyst, completely gone, never needed surgery, was completely fine. This is the kind of thing that happens every day in my world. People would think it's just too good to be true, but every single day there's some kind of really amazing story of really what's possible now through this method. It's just, just time for this method to become more known and for us to realize this is 21st century medicine. Yep,
I agree. Okay, let's get to a couple more questions. We'll take a few more. It says, Alita says, does it stick, or do you need frequent sessions to maintain the good energy?
Very good question. So it's not the same for every person. Some people, one session, good to go, never see them again. When I work with people one-on-one, or when I've created my group programs, I've designed it because I found over the years that in 3 or 4 sessions, most people do need to be exposed to these frequencies at least 4 times in order for them to hold the new pattern. Or they tend to dip back. They may have immediate total healing, 100%. But within 3 to 5 days, I find that a lot of people will dip back, maybe not quite as far, but they'll dip back into their old patterns. I mean, remember, there's a part of you that actually thinks that that's going to help you and keep you safe. And you've worn that groove in the tire. So there's a default mode that you dip back into. But if you're exposed to this usually about 4 times over the course of a month, then most people will really be able to hold it. Now, some people need more and some people need less. Everyone's case is different, but that's on the average.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Do you find that some people it's easier to work on or more receptive to the high frequency energies? Is there a difference in like people's makeup per se?
Well, there's a difference in people's programming, is what I call it. Some people have a very conditioned mind. They have a lot of fear because they have a lot of ideas about what all of it means, what their diagnosis, what they've been told. They have a lot of people that give a lot of power to authority figures outside of themselves. Sometimes they have difficulty trusting their inner nature or their feelings. They don't listen inside, and when they do, they don't trust what they get, what they're sensing inside. And something like this that they can't really put their hand on and grab onto, they have difficulty with it. That's very understandable. But this is not me telling you something or trying to convince you of something. Eventually, you will have an experience. Sometimes quickly, sometimes it takes a few sessions if you've got a very busy analytical mind. Or if you've never taken time to get quiet, if you're not a meditator, if you're a busy doer, and you don't really sit quietly much, it may take you a few sessions to start to realize, wow, something's really happening. I can feel this. Because your mind will take over because it's so conditioned to thinking. The mind is often the problem. It doesn't mean you won't get results. It just means you might think your way out of it or doubt your way out of it. But sometimes those are my biggest fans. The skeptics and the doubters become my biggest fans because you can't make this stuff up. You either have an effect, a result, an experience, or you don't. And if you do, you can't deny it because it's not me telling you something. You're having an experience. I work on all kinds of regular people that never delve into any of this. They aren't interested in it. They are not into spiritual growth or personal development. Their wives force them to come in. They're rolling their eyes. They're okay. She'll shut up if I just lay on your table and do it, right? And then they go, oh my God, what happened? I don't have any pain. So, it's undeniable at that point.
Yeah, seeing or feeling is believing instead of seeing is believing. We have a few more questions. Let me just jump into these. So I need help because I know I'm sensitive and want to help people with their negativity as a psych major. Help because I'm around people who don't want to change, so I'm absorbing that energy. I go away for short periods of time. When they are not around, I feel my true essence can be realized, but it's really the toxicness they're saying.
Well, no, I had this exact conversation with a client earlier today. What's really going on is your idea of helping, you're bucking up against their resistance. They may not at all be open to being helped. So you have an expectation, you have a desired outcome, and you're pushing against them. And they're pushing back. And you're exhausted because you're trying to get a result that they don't even want. And if you would lean back and stop and really, this may sound harsh, but it may not be your business to push with this particular person. You need to be, people need to come to you and ask for help. You may think they need help, you may know they need help, but if they're not ready for help, if you push, they push back. This is science. For every force, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So you want to lean back, not forward. And you can plant seeds, you can offer help, but let them come to you. There are plenty of people who are ready and want help. Just because you're sensitive to knowing something's off or wrong doesn't mean it's your job to fix. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I think even I was thinking as you're saying this, expanding it out to, sometimes we are running out towards life in general, right? Or we're pushing our way through life. And it's hard and there's resistance, and, you know, some people's personalities are even more so like that, when really, you know, allowing life to draw into you, right? To come to you, to attract, right, a like vibration into your world is a much less stressful, easier way to be.
Exactly. You know, I find this with almost every person that wants to become a practitioner or a healer of some kind. They suffer from this very thing. And this is the lesson you must learn in that if you're going to help people, they have to want to be helped. And just because you're sensitive doesn't mean you can or should help everyone. It's like, I call it a valve. The healers often have a valve that's always open. You need to shut that valve and say, no, that's not an area for me to go down unless somebody's asked me to go down that path. And you can offer, you can plant seeds, you can say, I'm here, but then lean back, let it draw right to your doorstep.
Yeah.
There's no forcing, there's no pushing with the healing path. That's an old school, very masculine energy way of, I'm going to make this happen. Yeah. It often really backfires.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to take I have one more question here really quickly. Do sensitive people typically require more? I'm assuming more sessions or more work. What do you think?
Not necessarily. No. Sensitive people often very quickly will have an effect, have results, and hold them. You know, I think I have an example of a woman who years ago I worked with her, and I remember the first thing she said to me is, I'm so sensitive that even energy healers that I've been to, I don't like how it feels. So I've just stopped letting anybody work on me. And I said to her, okay, look, I get that. So I'm just going to very quickly let you feel what I bring in here. And if in 20 seconds, if you don't like it, you tell me and I'll stop. And she said, oh my God, this feels like bliss. And she was able to allow me to work with her, and she could take it in, and it felt really soothing to her. And she had profound changes within just a very short time, like within 30 minutes, and was able to release this old stuff that was holding her back. It opened her up. She produced a book. She finished college. She got married. I mean, all I did was work on her one time. She was so sensitive. She was able to shift dramatically in every area of her life. So it really depends. You know, everyone's case is different. I encourage you not to compare yourself to other people. You're not anyone else. You're you. And sometimes I need to work with people and help them explore their ideas or talk about and let them feel in a safe. And sometimes we don't say a darn word, and I just work with them energetically, and they say, thank you very much, and we're done. You know, everyone's different.
Yeah. I love that. And I want to talk about a event on February 8th. Can you share a little bit about that? I'm going to post in the comments a link to this.
Yes. I have a complimentary class called Live Pain Free, where I'm going to be diving deeper into the information that you must have if you really want to get down to the root of what's causing pain of any kind. It could be physical, mental, emotional, issues with weight or digestion or emotional eating, addictions in particular. I stress a lot of what that's about. And I'll be giving you left brain information, as well as taking Q&A from the audience and working with people one-on-one and demonstrating how I take people through from start to finish and help them get free of their pain and their patterns. And then I'm going to be doing a full live Biofield Healing session. So it will be longer than the little demo we did tonight, and you'll have a real full-blown experience of this. Many people from those kinds of calls have dramatic, it's a turnaround for their lives. So it's completely complimentary. I welcome everyone and anyone. Spread it around, share it with anyone you know who might be in pain of some kind or have a pattern that keeps repeating. And it would just be great to help you and show you there's another path that you can take and explore to find answers and get relief.
I love that. Yeah, I put the link in the description. So again, if you know of anybody that could be helped by Debora's work, go ahead and tag them in his feed so that they can take a look and hear about what she's doing and hear about the free event. Also, I just want to make a quick announcement. We're going to have more guests on the show too, so if you want to be notified of that, I'll put a link in the comment section where you can find out who's coming with me. Any final thoughts? I have a final question actually that I want to ask you. If you, as somebody that works with a lot of people, when you go to bed at night, and if you said to yourself, what do I wish people knew about themselves, about healing, about wellness?
Yeah. Yes. So I love that. So what I really wish that everyone would remember is that you are a spiritual being. You're an energetic being in a physical body, just like you drive a car. You're not your body. You're not your mind. You're not your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're an energy being that's unlimited. You have so much more power than you remember because you've been programmed, hypnotized, and conditioned to think you're a small, limited, hurting, scared victim. In any area of your life where you feel you're not getting what you want, you feel a victim in that area. Now, that's not an insult. It's just the truth. And until you get some help to discover that's not the way it has to be, I wish that you would remember and that you would just don't stop, get the help you need to remember who you really are until you have the experience of being an unlimited being who can live and tap into the love and the bliss and know that we live in a world that supports us, that life is for us, not against us. Yeah. That's what I wish.
I love that. Life is for us, not against us. And I want to show a thank you. Thank you. You're awesome and very precise. I appreciate your work. And I want to say thank you, Debora. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on. Everything you shared, I'm so grateful for. I know you're helping so many people and will continue to. And even from this video, I think that a lot of people will be helped by this information. We just got another comment. Gabby said it's very cool. So it's sad to say goodnight, but it's time. And thank you again, Debora.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Good night.
Yes, good night. Thank you, guys.
Good night, everyone.